welcome to the Buffalo BlackAchievers video and radio show. I'm your host, Bellamy Jr., and we're coming to you live again from the BlackAchiever Studios. And as always, I bring you some of the finest guests that we have in Erie County and Buffalo, New York. And today I'm honored to have one of our co-chairs for the BlackAchievers Awards dinner that's coming up September 30th. September 30th. Get your tickets online. They're ready. September 30th, the biggest party that we can have of all the African Americans that we have in West New York doing phenomenal things. Extraordinary citizens doing so many great, wonderful works in Buffalo. And I'm excited to have that, and I'm honored to be able to host the show. But today, we have the chairperson of the legislature of Erie County, April Baskin. Welcome to the BlackAchievers radio show.
Hi, Herb. Thank you so much for having me today.
Well, I am honored that you're here. I am so glad you're here. And you were Achiever a couple years ago when we were doing it virtual, so I'm bringing it to you live. How you feel about going live?
I'm excited. COVID kind of paused things for a while, so It's going to be nice to be back with everybody in the dinner setting and party celebrating Black excellence across Buffalo and Erie County.
Yes, and so we're going to get you up there. You're going to have your nice gown on that your aunt did. Your aunt is your hairdresser. So I know she's going to hook you up because everybody's going to be wearing some fine clothes.
My aunt does make all my dresses.
I know. I remember when you did it. Yes. So you ready for that?
I am ready.
All right. We trying to get Buffalo pumped up because we're going to have a fabulous dinner.
Yeah.
I've been looking at some of the bios and pictures and I tell you, one lady came in here so excited before she was getting a picture taken. She was taking selfies in the museum.
Aww.
And so it just increased my enthusiasm to continue this dinner because it has served such a worthy purpose in our community. And we are so glad that. Now tell us a little bit about you, April. Were you born in Buffalo or are you born somewhere else? Are you born and raised in Buffalo, New York?
I am Buffalo, New York, born and bred. I spent most of my life in the early years of my adulthood on the west side of Buffalo.
Okay.
So, I was raised on the west side of Buffalo, lower west side. Went to Buffalo Public Schools my whole life.
Okay.
Went to Buffalo State College for a while and then ended up graduating with a degree in theater and film from Empire State College. So I am Buffalo born, Buffalo raised, Buffalo educated.
And now you're the chairperson
and I'm a Buffalo servant.
Erie County legislator. How did you excel to that so quickly?
The grace of God.
All right.
And that is just it. I wanted to do more for my community. I started a nonprofit when I came back home to Buffalo.
Okay.
After living away for 10 years. I moved back home in late 2014 and started a nonprofit organization to help youth excel in higher education through using a simulation, experience, a theatrical rendition of what life is like in college. And the nonprofit really took off, and it became very popular. And then some folks that were in local government noticed my ability to be able to galvanize the community, to develop curriculum, to do, unique things, to raise money. And they, most importantly, acknowledged my passion for underprivileged youth across the city. And they said to me, "Do you want to run for office?" And I was like, "No, not really. I'm not really into politics. I only voted in presidential elections. I wasn't really engaged in local government." And they were like, "But you have a heart for the people." And after saying no about 5 times, they convinced me to try to run. And I ran against 4 men, 5-way race back in 2017. First time ever trying it out. But, I had a lot of good supporters behind me who believed that I could make a difference in our community. And I won.
Wow.
I got into the legislature, and the Democratic caucus wanted a younger, vibrant leader because the Democrats had just taken back over control of the legislature. And so upon being sworn in, I was the majority leader. And then a year and a half later, the chairman of the legislature became a city court judge. And it is the honor of the House and the legislature that whoever the majority leader is, if the chairman vacates their seat, that they would become the chairman. And I was elected by my Democratic colleagues to be the chairperson of the legislature in 2019. I've remained the chairperson of the legislature since then. And at that time, I was the youngest person in history to ever chair the legislature, and the only person in history to become the chairperson in their first term.
Wow, you hear this, our listening audience? Black Achiever making history. You're a history maker. Wow, how exciting that is. I know your parents must be proud of you.
They are. I have a lot of support. I have a huge village.
Yes, you do. You do. I went to one of your events, and I saw some of your huge village.
My birthday party.
Yeah, your birthday party. Yeah, and so many of them were my friends, and they were great people. And I'm like, oh yeah, she's got a tremendous amount of support, and even my friends in government tell me what a wonderful job that you're doing, and how you pay attention to detail in the contracts, and to ensure that our public is getting what we are supposed to get. And we need advocates like yourself to make sure that our community keeps, receiving goods and services here.
Yes, thank you. I love the community.
Yes. So one of the things that I know that you've been promoting, and when we built the building up the street with Jefferson Apartments, along with People Inc., you impressed me when you spoke about bringing the community together and bringing businesses together, and black businesses, and how Jefferson can be, similar to what it used to be. And you've been an advocate. Now, we've been in community meetings together. You've been an advocate of ensuring that black businesses get money to continue to do their works. And we know that this community has been neglected in so many years and so many times that we need that extra boost no matter what. And I remember I shared with you in the meeting, I'm like, I don't care, we still need it.
Yeah.
I said, get the people their money.
You did. You did. You looked right at me.
Yeah, I said, let's go. I'm like, I don't care if they messed up, whatever. A lot of people mess up.
Right.
So, and so you've been an advocate of still continuing that. I got you laughing.
I remember that moment. I reflect on it.
Yes.
And you're such a jovial, kind, lighthearted, fun leader. But in that moment, I can tell you were serious. When you looked at me, that meeting, you said, look, black businesses need money, and you get it for them elected official. And I was like, okay, Mr. Bellamy.
Yeah, we had some fun. Let's go back to the other side. BlackAchiever, September 30th. We're going to have a lot of achievers there, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, over 40 this year.
Over 40, and a lot of your colleagues in government and business and everything else. Mm-hmm. Now, how did you get connected with Black Achievers? I remember you being a Black Achiever. And I'm trying to think, who was your sponsor that year?
My sponsor was the car service. Help me remember their name.
Colston Mobile.
Colston, yes,
Colston
yes,
Mobile.
yes. Forgive me, yes.
Yes.
And I was just so honored and pleased to have such a legacy black owned business in our community. Step up, family owned business. Step up and acknowledge my leadership, and make the decision that they wanted to back me as being a Black Achiever. And I know that when I first came back home to Buffalo back in 2014, one of the first events that I attended was the Black Achievers Awards, and I was just mesmerized by all of the gowns and the tuxedos and the entertainment and the speeches and the awards. And I was like, wow, someday I want to get that award. You fast forward, not even 10 years later, Mr. Colston and the community stood behind me, and the Black Achievers supported me with becoming a recipient. And I am forever indebted, because that was really a goal of mine. Oh,
that's wonderful. And I remember when they selected you, Mr. Colston was an advocate for black businesses and also for elected officials. Mm-hmm. And he was a very close friend of my father, and he was asking, and he just passed away a few months ago, and our condolences again to the family. But I'm with the family all the time. But Yeah. So he was happy, and he was there, and he was glad to honor you. Even though he was sickly over the last few years, he always saw the books, and I always gave him all the Black Achiever stuff that you guys get, because he was very close to our organization. So yeah, so I remember that moment. I remember you walking the red carpet and getting yourself together. So are you ready to walk the red carpet again?
I am ready.
As a co-chair?
As a co-chair,
yeah.
I am ready.
All right. We're looking forward to it. Now, what gives you most fulfillment in government and as an elected official right now? I know you had a major groundbreaking with the stadium, which is you're going to be written in history forever for doing that. But what is your most fulfillment in what you're doing right now?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm so many things fulfill me. I mean, being able to have a deep connection with the community and actually being in a position of leverage to be able to help people when they need it. My team, my staff, I have a very, very strong, hard-working staff that believes in my vision, and I believe in their vision for our community. So together, we're able to work together. My colleagues in government, it fulfills me so much. I think the most special thing about being an elected official and the work that I do is having the ability to change systems. We know in this country that people who come from our ethnic background have not been afforded opportunities to excel or to have upward mobility in relation to our white counterparts. And that's just historically been our tragedy as Black Americans in this country. However, we have had opportunities in history to follow after leaders that get put in certain positions and that get opportunities to sit at certain tables and shift the systems that have been designed to box us out of opportunity. And I realized when we were negotiating the new stadium deal that I was one of those people. I'm sitting at a table at a certain moment in time where Erie County is negotiating the biggest construction deal in history. I am here and I'm able to demand that there be a systems change so that Black businesses actually have access to capital and a better quality of life through the decisions that are made with this deal. And that is so fulfilling, and it makes me feel so useful and so purposeful in terms of being a Black woman from Buffalo.
Wow, that's exciting. I know you can't wait for the groundbreaking. Huh?
Yeah. Well, we broke ground, but I can't wait for the ribbon cutting.
The ribbon cutting.
Yeah. I can't wait to see it. But most importantly, I can't wait to see how many Black businesses are a part of this journey and this process. That's really what I can't wait for.
Well, that's exciting to hear, and it's also exciting that you're challenging your counterparts that no, and if you don't ask and demand it, it won't happen. And it's important that we have advocacy like yourself to make sure that that we're at the table and that we're actually getting something, and we have a lot of capable people that can do a lot of things in building this stadium. And if they don't call me, I have 50 years of Black Achievers. I'll find somebody out of all those files that can do something, that whether they need to build whatever, between you and I, April, we can get it done.
That's right.
So don't tell us that we don't have the people or the qualifications to do it, because we've heard that before.
That's
we may not have yours, but we
got it.
We got it, right?
We got it. Stadiums need food. Stadiums need janitorial services.
That's right.
Stadiums need landscapers. Stadiums need construction team, stadium need paint, stadium need coffee, stadium need toilet paper. And guess what? There are businesses in the city of Buffalo that are owned by wonderful, talented Black people that deserve an equitable, fair, just opportunity to provide those services for this once-in-a-generation project. And together we are going to get that done.
Absolutely. And I'm so proud of what you've been doing. I tell you, I guess you're old enough to be my daughter, but you're just such a.
Thanks.
I'm so proud of how is watching your growth as well, because I know the sacrifices that you have to make with your family in order to make things happen and to give opportunities and the time it takes. So and I know that you're passionate about it, because I hear it in your conversation, whether it's off tape or on tape. You're the same person. So I am happy for the progress that you're doing, and I'm happy and excited for your journey because it's going to be tremendous.
Thank you. Coming from you and the pedigree that you come from and the legacy that you come from in terms of highlighting Black excellence in the city of Buffalo, that really is the ultimate comment for a Bellamy to say that about me. So thank you, sir.
Oh, you are most welcome. I'm so glad you could join me. I'm so glad what you're doing. And it gives me inspiration as I'm getting older to see the youth and how you are engaging and changing policies and changing mindsets and changing philosophies. And those are the things that we need to continue to do because we do have the talent and we have the population as well, in case people don't know.
We here. It's enough of us.
Yes, it's enough of us. And so we're going to continue to do that. So tell me, do you have any parting words or positive words you want to share with our audience before we break?
Of course. One, make sure that you're at the Black Achievers this September 30th. We need you there to celebrate the hard work and the excellence and the contributions that our Black Americans that are from the city of Buffalo are making to make our city and our county great. Secondly, I always part people with a hug. So, I'll give you an air hug and a scripture. Forgive me, Lord, if I chop it up a little bit, but the book of Philippians, I often, every single day, no matter what we're going through here in Buffalo and Erie County, and I acknowledge that the Black community has been through quite a bit since COVID-19 and the rates in the 14215 zip code with COVID to the mass shooting that happened last year to the December blizzard that, took nearly 50 lives from Erie County. It's been a hard couple of years here in the city of Buffalo. And so I encourage you to look into the book of Philippians. I think it's chapter 4, verse 8. And it talks about the things that we should think on. Whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any praise, if there be any virtue, think on these things. So Black people of Buffalo, no matter what hardships we are going through, think on good things and be encouraged.
Wow, April, that was great words. Thank you so much again for being with us again today. And that same scripture or the book, my mother, one of her favorites was, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And that's in my program every year, my mother's favorite words and my father's favorite words. So again, I thank you for coming. Thanks for joining us. And we'll be right back at you soon. Welcome back to our video podcast and radio show. I'm your host again, Herbert Bellamy. And we're excited about getting ready for Black Achiever September 30th. September 30th. Buy your tickets online, Doors Records, in person. But please be there. We're going to have a wonderful time, celebrate so many African Americans in Western New York. Now, my next guest I have is our co-chair, none other than Chi-Chi Onane, right?
Owane.
Owane. I'm getting it there. How you doing, Chi-Chi? I'm just used to call him Chi-Chi, so.
Yes.
Yeah, so.
I'm doing well.
Good. Thanks for
me.
being on, and thanks for being our co-chair this year. I'm excited. I mean, every year you're excited about even honoring other Key Bank employees. Like last year, we were communicating, so I thought it would be a great fit for you to be a co-chair and continue to promote the positivity of Black Achievers, which you do already.
Yes, absolutely, and thank you for the invitation, and thank you for also making me a co-chair. I'm more than happy to do this. I think it's important that we elevate the Black and Brown folks within this community that are doing tremendous work. So thank you.
Yeah, and I know that you do that naturally with your position. You're always promoting African American businesses, wealth generation, and so many other things that you do voluntarily on your own. So again, I applaud you for your works that you've been doing in the community. So many people are talking about your great works as well.
Thank you.
Yes. Now, were you born in Buffalo and raised in Buffalo, or tell us a little bit about yourself personally?
Yeah, so I consider Buffalo my second home.
Okay.
Born and raised in Nigeria, in a tiny, small little village in Nigeria. And that's where I grew up. Spent the first 11 years of my life, and I came here in 1992 on the cusp of being 12 years old. And I grew up on the west side.
Okay.
Right at the corner, they call it 5 Points now. So that's the points between Brayton, I believe, Rhode Island, and Utica. So the 5 Points, that's where I grew up.
5 Points. Never heard of it that way. Okay. That's cool.
Real estate people, when they want to sell, neighborhoods, they give it names.
It's impressive, though. I grew up in the 5 Points.
It wasn't called 5 Points when I grew up then. I came back to Buffalo and learned that it's now called 5 Points.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay. It's still impressive to me. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, so that's where I grew up. I went to Campus West when there was a Campus West. I love Campus West. Campus West was just one of those memorable years. I still remember all the teachers that taught at Campus West that I was in their classroom from 5th grade on. As a matter of fact, my 5th grade teacher, Beverly Davis, she is super dear to me. She turned 70 earlier this year, and
All right.
we got to celebrate with her. She's just awesome. But anyway, so went to Campus West and then Hutch Tech for high school. Then we moved from the west side to just on the cusp of Buffalo and Amherst, and that gave me the opportunity to either stay at Hutch Tech or go to Amherst Central. And I decided my senior year to go to Amherst Central, and that's where I graduated. And ultimately went away to college, went to SUNY Geneseo for undergrad. And afterwards, I was away for a good 19 years before moving back to Buffalo in 2019.
Oh, okay. So, tell me, what is your profession? What's your job title? I know that you're affiliated with KeyBank, but I know you do beyond whatever you do at KeyBank, because I hear all your friends there, Alexandra and some of the others. But so, what's your position at KeyBank?
So at KeyBank, I am the Corporate Responsibility Officer and Community Relations Manager. What exactly does that mean? So my job, in a sentence, it's literally I am the voice of KeyBank within the community and the voice of the community within KeyBank. So one of the things that I get to do is to work with community leaders such as yourself, nonprofit organizations such as BlackAchievers, and wherever their mission and vision aligns with our funding priority, I leverage Key's resources to meet those challenges. So I manage our philanthropic effort within the Western New York market. I also cover Rochester and our Eastern Pennsylvania market, which includes Philadelphia.
Oh, great! So you're pretty much spread out then, huh?
Yes, I am.
Now, who is your achiever this year? I met the young man, and you can announce his name. That's the reason why. But he was a great young man, and we talked for a while when he came in and took his picture. What's your achiever's name again?
Andrew Cheatham.
Andrew Cheatham.
Andrew Cheatham, yes.
And he's into wealth building and generational wealth, right?
Yes.
Because we talked about that.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
So one of the fun things that we actually did leading up to Juneteenth. So KeyBank in the past has always done a small business workshop leading up to Juneteenth. I think is part of Sankofa Days. So we've always done small business workshop. Omar Overstreet, who was also a Black Achiever, 2020.
Okay.
So he's always conducted that. So this year we decided to just ratchet it up a little bit. And we did not just the small business workshop, we also coupled that with generational wealth creation workshop, which Andrew Cheatham actually led. And in addition to that, we also did some home ownership education, which Salim Shabazz led as well.
Cool. Now also you were a former Black Achiever. When were you an Achiever?
Oh, we got robbed. 2020. 2020. Yes. When I moved back to Buffalo, this is sort of like a secret, but I'm going to share it on this podcast.
Share.
When I moved back to Buffalo in 2019, I was actually approached to be nominated, but I declined it. And the reason why I declined it was simply because, yes, I was doing important work when I moved back. I moved back to work on the East Side Avenues, so I was a program director for the East Side Avenues. The East Side Avenues is an economic revitalization effort that was part of Buffalo Billion Phase 2, where $65 million was carved out specifically for the economic revitalization of the East Side. There were 5 different programs under my purview. So I was doing that work, and I enjoyed doing the work, and I was approached to be nominated for Black Achievers back in 2019. I declined it. And part of the reason why I declined it was I just felt that, I hadn't done enough yet in order to get such an honor bestowed on me. So I decided to forego it, and lo and behold, 2020, I was nominated again.
Wow, so you're like a double nominee. I don't know if I had a double nominee on our show before, but
Yes.
that's great. That's great. So someone saw a vision in you that you were going to excel, and you declined that year, but then the next year you said, I will go ahead and take it.
Yeah, I guess at that point I felt, I had in fact done some things, within the community that was noteworthy, and so I decided, sure, why not? And oftentimes too, bestowing someone with such honor, it's sometimes it can be a down payment, for their future, for the future work that they're going to do, and I'm just grateful for the organization that recognized my talent and saw what I may not have necessarily have recognized then, to nominate me.
Yeah, it's interesting because so many of us have gone this way and don't realize the potential that we have, and other people see it, and God sets a path for us to continue. So I'm glad that you were able to do it, and even though it was virtual then, you're alive now. So tell us how you're going to act live in living color in front of all those people.
Well, so I went last year, which was live, right? And
Yes.
it was just magnificent at the convention center. Oh my goodness, I did not realize that such a thing was possible or goes on in Buffalo. So I am incredibly grateful to be, the co-chair, and we're gonna have some fun.
You're going to have some fun. All right, you heard it first. Our co-chair, he said we're going to have some fun. And we're looking forward to it. September 30th at the convention center. Buffalo Black Achievers, be there September 30th. Visit our website, buffaloblackAchievers.org, or 716-884-1490. Get your tickets, because we are going to have a phenomenal time. We have over 40 achievers and from all walks of life. It's doing tremendous things in our community, and I can't wait to honor and celebrate them along with our co-chair. Now, tell me something else. What was your experience in being? I know that you said that it was a little different, but what was your experience as being an achiever itself?
It's humbling. The 2020 roster. Have you looked at the 2020 roster lately?
I know you were just looking at
I
them.
know,
Yeah.
and I had actually forgotten who was part of that 2020 roster. It is some pretty powerful, incredible people, and I'm not gonna drop any names, but you should take a look at it whenever you have a chance. Yes.
Yeah. We did some magical things that year too.
Yeah.
For us to do it virtually, that was a huge accomplishment for us.
Yes, and I know that
Organization.
obviously you've never done it virtually. As a matter of fact, it turned out really, really well because, I watched it. I shared the link to a bunch of friends locally and beyond who tuned in, and everyone thought that it was really, really well done. This was, not something that a whole lot of places have been able to pull off, because we're still sort of like in the nascence of online virtual reality galas. So kudos to Black Achievers for pulling it off, and sort of like being a blueprint on how it's done.
Well, thank you, and kudos to you and your company for supporting us all these years. And it takes a village, as you know, to do this. And now, what progress do you see, or how do you see the future of Western New York in Black business? Now, you were doing some things over in the Broadway area, if I'm not mistaken, right, for a little while. I don't know if you're still doing it, but How do you see Western New York moving forward?
So as I mentioned, I moved back to Buffalo to take on the role of a program director for the East Side Economic Revitalization. It's something that I find very dear to my heart. So a lot of people may not know this, but
you're sharing a lot of secrets. So come on.
I left a very cushy, well-paid job. So I was in investment banking for about 10 years.
Okay.
And after 2008, after the economic recession, the downturn in 2000 as a result of the housing crisis, I started plotting my way out of corporate America. I thought that, as someone who grew up in a tiny little village, my grandparents who raised me sort of like just instilled a great sense of community, within me. So after 2008 happened, I tried to figure out how can I help, the community, rebound. And I decided I wanted to get into community and economic development. So in April 17, 2015, I resigned my position with the firm. Not really having a job, but I knew that I eventually I would find something, and also I just completed my first year UPenn for my master's in public administration. So I took that leap, and the first job that I got was with the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania in the Department of Community and Economic Development as an economic development analyst, where I managed CDBG grants, which is community development block grants. So that was my first foray into, real community and economic development. And I loved it. It was just great watching these communities sort of like rebound after being hollowed out by, the drug epidemics and young people just leaving those small towns to bigger cities. So watching them do some incredible innovative things with CDBG grants sort of like just whetted my appetite into community and economic development. So when the chance to do community and economic development came up, and I get to do it here in my hometown of Buffalo, I immediately jumped at it. And so that's what led me back to Buffalo in 2019. So I'm very much about community and economic development because just like a lot of our audience out there, we know what a good community that has homes that are appreciated, we know what all of those things can mean for us economically, right? So you live in a community where, there are small businesses that are thriving. Those small businesses, they can leverage those resources to reinvest within the community. And as you reinvest within the community, your property value goes up. Your property value goes up, now you're talking about generational wealth, and you can leverage this home to send your kid to college. You can leverage this home to expand your business. You can leverage this home to do all sorts of things that will, keep you ahead and put you ahead and keep you ahead. So, coming back to Buffalo and doing that work, knee deep into that work, it was something that was very dear to my heart because that's essentially, how I was raised growing up in that tiny little village in Nigeria.
Wow. Well, we thank you so much for dropping that knowledge on us, and we applaud you for all the work you're doing with KeyBank. Again, September 30th, Black Achievers, meet us there. We're going to have a wonderful time. And as I always close my show, change your thoughts, change your world. Thank you.